is up. Oh, hello. This is CopyWho Season 3, and I'm your host, Paul the producer. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I need some more volume in my headphones. How y'all doing? Just a little extra effects and everything. Money burn! Money burn. We're going to talk about the failing financial system, I guess, today. More a philosophical take on it rather than, boring technicals and whatnot. Money burn. Money burn, I say to you. Money burn! Dig that money burn over there, okay? Gonna, go around with the spotlight there. You see that? You see the spotlight? So the money burn, everybody. Money burn. What do you mean money burn? I'm going to talk about what's happening in the United States with the financial system. Interesting, Janet Yellen, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Dagnabbit? Okay, here. Light is off. The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, said on Tuesday, the 21st, the day after the president's inauguration, the debt limit has reached its peak. I guess, what does that mean? They're not going to loan money to the United States anymore? Interesting timing. It's almost like you're trying to undermine somebody. But that's not what I want to talk about first today. But money burn is the topic. Money burn meaning money spent in excess. And money, it's inflationary. And today, this little TV here, when we reach the part of the show that is called Dagnabbit, I got so many things ready today to go, and I was so proud of myself, and I didn't play that file right there just now. What's going on? Off with that. What is going on? All right, now we're set to go. Okay. All right, there's always a little technical something. You know what else I did? I didn't put a description to what I'm talking about today like I normally do. I spaced that out. Today I've been amazingly sharp in certain ways and amazingly dull, like a dull blade in my brain. Hey, another thing. You don't normally see me with these glasses on. Usually I'm in full rock star regalia. And I'm blind like this. Looking at the screen in front of me, I can't possibly function normally without these glasses, because these have the prescription, even though they're faded or they have the shade, because they're sunglasses. Where are we? I'm just going to sit here and chill for a second because I don't want to jump out of the canon quite like a madman. I'm just kind of in a mood. I'm liking the new yellow. So the whole money theme is definitely on my mind. Last week we had, of course, the huge fires in LA, and I think they're still in grave danger of more stuff like that happening, like more fires breaking out in LA. And so I'm just kind of like, wow, this is serious stuff. Up to $250 billion damage estimated. And the destroyer of California, Gavin Newsom, not genius that he is, he wants to get a big check, and he's like, with no conditions. It's like, what do you mean no conditions? You've been such a derelict destroyer of California leader that you're insane to think that you should even be in power. You should actually be in a cage for the derelict, deliberate, weaponized, bureaucratic administration that runs over California. No, thank you. No, sir. You deserve to not have your job. And I don't want to say at the very least, because at the very least, you should face some serious consequences for what's happened. The mismanagement is obvious. And I'm going to get into more of this. But before I start talking about the financial system and whatnot, what do I want to talk about first? So money is going to be the topic. But I want to begin by talking about I went to church this morning. That was nice. It's always moving. That's the service right there. The one that I went to this morning that was broadcast through the satellite church that they have in Westminster, that's what was on the TV there. Only it's not those musicians. that I saw perform, because Westminster has their own musicians and they sound amazing. It's amazing that they can have people in both places playing that are such high caliber and such high quality musicianship. I love that about it. Um, so like no one listening today, because I didn't put in a proper beginning to this, but that's okay. Somehow I will live with my mistake and live another day. You know what I'm kind of disappointed in is this week I was on X and I was like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to check out some of my old work that I've done over the course of the past year in season 2, starting in around June. Uh, to be very disappointed in doing so, because I learned that after 3 or 4 months, these live streams are being removed from the platform. Come on. And you know, it was especially disappointing to me because I thought that I was doing work that was going to have some kind of lasting posterity on there. And so, consequently, it was really a good idea to start streaming onto Rumble, because those streams will be logged on Rumble. And if you miss it here and it's not available here anymore, you can always go to Rumble and search CopyWho to find it. But I was really disappointed because, as you can see, I kind of have a psychotic, overproduced attitude toward what I'm doing here. And so to have it cut out like that, like when I say posterity, I'm like, okay, I had these thoughts. If I randomly die, and I don't hope to die, but you never know when you die. If I randomly die, I'm like, okay, maybe like friends and relatives who are thinking of me might be like, oh, well, I want to see what Paul was all about. I can come and listen to what he's saying here, and you can see some of what I'm doing. But alas, that's not even possible. And so I was asking Grok, I'm like, hey, Grok. And every time I say that I'm talking to Grok, I have to be like that. I have to go, hey, Grok. I don't know why. I don't know why at all. It's just my silly way, I say. But I'm like, hey, Grok, is it true that these won't stay on the platform? And it's because, like, I put videos up on YouTube and they stay there indefinitely unless I delete them. And so I wish that what I'm putting up here would be there in perpetuity. And I realize maybe they're at a stage in development since Elon Musk bought the company where like they don't have the resources developed yet. I mean, I think there's the resources to develop it, but what I'm saying is they haven't built the infrastructure to do that yet. Because I imagine you could have so much garbage being taken up on all these servers and whatnot with crappy content, but I'm obviously trying to do good content here, interesting content, compelling stuff that I hope will be of interest to people eventually. And I'm on the verge of asking more people to come here. I'm trying to get it sorted in my schedule where the guest stream of people in studio with me will be on Wednesdays. And I'm actually really grateful. There's this kid, David, I know from Marijuana Anonymous, where I go. And he's been showing extreme interest in what I'm doing. And so he has so much enthusiasm that his enthusiasm makes me want to welcome him in here. And I said to him when he was like, I watched you guys, when he watched the stream that I did with Peter a couple weeks ago, he was like, bah, bugging out. And like, and so I'm like, okay, you think you can hang? You got to come here and you got to deal with my my unique abuse. You have to be able to hang in this kind of situation rather uniquely, because it's not going to be abusive, but it's like, let's go, man. This is not about being faint of heart here. It's about diving in and doing something kind of special and memorable. And so that is what I am doing, and I shall not apologize for that. And so I go to all these different places in my life. I have several different places and people I hang out with. Of course, I hang out with family, and I hang out over at Brave Church. I went to service today, and on Wednesday nights now, I'm resuming going once a week to this. It's a Wednesday night thing where they do a sermon, and then people get together at tables in groups called cadres, and they talk about the Bible verse that was talked about in the sermon that evening, and so I'm mixing in different places. Like Marijuana Anonymous is another place, and the Kava Bar is another place, and I have multiple personalities. I was thinking that because I'm reading a book by Bob Newhart, and he said comedians have multiple personalities. And even though I'm not a comedian per se, I am sort of what you might call a creative humorist, especially in this context. When I'm in the mood, I like to be silly, like that. And not even that that's very creative at all. It's just that I like, and I think there's some depth to the way I talk. So anyway, I'm talking about all these different people I hang around in these different environments. And I'm thinking about how in life we comport ourselves to different situations around different people. Like when you're a head of state, you should comport yourself to the role of head of state. Unlike the governor of Colorado, the man I think is very strange when he does the state of the state address. He behaves more like he's doing Howard Stern routine or something. And I think that's lame. When you're a head of state, you have to comport yourself like a head of state. When I'm in the Kava Bar, I'm around people who aren't exactly outspoken Christians, although people there have said to me before they are Christian. And I know a few people who are. I actually got into a Bible study with a handful of people one night, and that was a special and unique experience. And we actually prayed together even. I've prayed with people at the Kava Bar. I've prayed with people in Marijuana Anonymous. I've certainly prayed in Brave Church, and I prayed with people in my family. And it's really interesting because I didn't used to do any of that with anyone. I never would have said, I will pray with you. So one of the interesting threads throughout all of these groups of people I'm hanging out with is my Christian faith. And but I have a different way that I comport myself around each of those groups for different reasons. Some of them are more like leftist or liberal leaning. Certainly when I'm in the Kava Bar or at Marijuana Anonymous, there are people who are more inclined to leftist or liberal politics, which I'm fine with. I have said for a long time, and it's still ingrained with me, and may not be very good necessarily with Christ, and I'm trying to grow my way, navigate my way in life. I'm like, I would say I'm socially liberal, except that I'm at a point where I'm trying to just defer and like put Christ in charge of the automatic drive for my life, where I'm going, who I'm going to be, where, how and where, what direction I'm growing in. I'm trying to make him the steward of that. And I try to have good discernment, and I try not to lie to myself about it. I pray about all these things. But I mean, where I joke in a certain way at the Kava Bar with people there that is very earthly, very fleshly. I mean, like rotten earthly, natural world, sinful kind of stuff. I don't always feel kind of good about it, but I'm not sitting and saying I'm a better person than the people in the Kava Bar. We're all fallen, and actually, there are so many people I love no matter what, and that doesn't change. Even people who piss me off, I want to have love for them. Even some of the most foul people in the world. Bill Gates would be an example of somebody I have love for, except I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's a frightening monster who deserves to be held accountable for some really horrible things he has done and things he's continuing to do, the things he aspires to do. When you're a one-man, powerful oligarch nation state, you really rely on a big world to keep you accountable, to hold you accountable. And so I guess I just wanted to point out how I behave differently in each of these groups around different people, but the one common thread is I'm trying to be forthright about my faith in each one of these groups, with more or less success every time I do it, if you know what I'm saying. And of course, around family, I have cousins and stuff where I have full breadth of expression, and sometimes I'm a little more crazy than I should be, more crazy than any of the other groups I hang out in for sure. But so what I want to say is, in each group where I'm comporting myself differently, it's still authentic me. And it's a different statement about who I am. But it's not that I'm being fake in any one of the situations, although I should be more bold in certain situations, because what rises up above all of this in terms of priority and in terms of importance is my faith. Like that really is what should be prioritized above all else. And so sometimes I come to this show. I comport myself. It's amazing I mentioned all those things that I do. This is a thing where people hear myself in a wild sort of mode of expression. People hear me, I should say, not myself, because that's reflexive. And never mind, I behave a certain way on this show, and it's so free, and I have such a habit when I'm on the microphone spanning back many years that I kind of go overboard and I get a little crazy and wild when I shouldn't. And along those lines, I've done shows as recent as 2 shows ago where I felt disgusted with my behavior. And so I kind of, I sort of intelligently admonish myself about my behavior, the way I'm being disrespectful and I'm really behaving like a person that I shouldn't behave like. So believe it or not, before I started today, I prayed. I do that a lot. That's part of my routine. Before I start this show, I pray. And in so doing, I pray to I pray to the Lord actually to be my steward. The way that I do this, I'm trying to honor him and not go overboard and because there's really oh, hey, sorry, Lord, I'm jumping over the fence and I'm becoming really guttural and nasty and delving into sin, which I do that too. The way I joke is inappropriate sometimes. So I'm trying to keep a better tether on myself. I'm trying to bridle my tongue in a way like I never did in the past. And there are plenty of examples of me behaving like a wretch online. I was even at one of those cadres last Wednesday, the most recent Wednesday, and I said, I don't want to kid you guys. I'm still a wretch, even though I'm here doing this with you. It's like I don't want to shame myself and I don't want to feel condemned all the time. That's a big part of the discussion that took place today. That is if you're constantly feeling condemned, I think that's more of they were trying to convey that's more of the devil trying to say you're not worthy. And I believe I am worthy. I believe I'm on that path, and I believe I'm ironing out aspects of my moral character that I think have not served me well for a very long time. I must say, though, in a very so to contradict myself, I'll be a little vain right now. I'll be a little bit vain and say I like the yellow theme that I came up with. I like the money theme this week. I put a lot of work in that last night, so I'm going vain right now. Lord, forgive me. But I mean, I like the way that it's just you want to stand out and you want to be remembered in life, and so on some level, if this attracts people to it, and I hope that though, other than appearing like a sort of materialistic outing, that there are ideas here worthy of listening to and contemplating philosophically and spiritually and personally, all of the above. I like to be that kind of person. Could you imagine, it's also, I'm always saying how inspired I've been by various people, and of course, Mike David. And I can't imagine him talking like this. So there's technical inspiration here, but the essence of it, when you're an entirely different person, it resides upon me to be interesting here. And so I need to grow this somehow with others around me in the context where it's the right kind of people to really make this thing fly. And I don't know. So it's I'm going to give this guy David a chance to come in here and talk to me because he seems like a really nice kid. And when I say kid, I don't mean it in a pejorative term. It's just when I was 27 and saw my 96-year-old grandfather in his deathbed, I was like, oh my God, I'm just a kid. And that's all I mean is that you're still in a younger stage of life. And I mean it actually kind of it's cool being a kid. In Italy, the young adults are referred to as ragazzi. And I always thought that was cool because older people would come in and they'd say, ciao ragazzi. They don't say kids, but it's kind of like that. And I'm like I said, it's not meant in a pejorative way. So this show is going to come back to the theme of money a lot. I had a similar discussion on my very first holiday episode that I recorded a few weeks back, where I talked about the financial system, and if Elon Musk wants to get to Mars, then the financial system has to be functional. It has to be sound. And that's an amazing goal. And I believe Elon Musk is intelligent enough to know, obviously, that in a failing society or civilization, you cannot marshal the economic resources and the productivity you need from people if the financial system is failing. That's impossible. So it has to be functioning normally. So I'm hoping for real that we get our house in order financially, because not only does that help him get to Mars, but frankly, a good, healthy financial system is what is the greatest opportunity for people to function in a society, to produce for themselves, and to live with a decent standard of living. And I'm just talking about baseline comforts, good food, warm, comfortable house. You have your basic things. And of course, all these things are nothing compared to the faith that I was talking about before. And I'm not going to always go back to the topic of faith. I don't want this to sound like I'm heralding materialism, because there's something to development in the material world that can really be good to serve a good purpose and serve humanity in really positive and meaningful ways. And it can also be used to destroy. And so, like I've been saying, it's so easy to destroy. That's kind of the theme of the fire in this little video short that I clipped together yesterday. Fire with money is like, that's a system being destroyed there. That's kind of what it's a metaphor of for me. And golly, you know, in my own family, I want it to hold together. And so when something like that happens in California, the timing with the president coming in, undermining someone through a series of crises, multiple things, bad things that are happening, it's a concern for me. And I think the financial system is one of those things, because I've been paying attention to what people are saying about bank failures and the failure of currency and inflation. And so when these things get out of hand, everyone's lives get out of whack. Is it everyone's life? Everyone's lives. Everyone's lives. I don't know. I'm not going to get stuck and sidetracked by a grammar lesson. But so in the same way that Elon Musk, well, I point that example out of going to Mars because that is a huge goal that has to marshal so many resources and so many different points of productivity all combined together to really achieve the goal. You need a functioning society. You need a functioning financial system. And I think we're on the end of something right now, and I hope it's not calamitous. I've spoken on here occasionally about how I do not like the idea of a digital ID or a central bank digital currency. Anything that basically has the technical ability to stop you from any conceivable transaction or movement you might make, I'm not in favor of that. That's why I'm so in favor of cash. Like, there's a freedom to cash that is essential. And so anyone who thinks that we should just give up cash for some digital transaction, we should have the digital for convenience, but you should never give up the privacy and convenience of cash, especially in an emergency. So what if the electric power goes down? Then you can still use cash as a means of transaction in order to exchange goods and services, but you can't do that with phones that can't be charged when there's no electricity or something. It's just like, cash is a good backup for freedom and privacy, but it's also a good practical backup for when the convenience of electronic devices making transactions for you when they fail. I also see that there's a practical use in the world of cryptocurrency to have a permanent record in terms of a blockchain, but there should be a privacy aspect of it, because I frankly don't think that whatever I do is the government's business. And so money burning. And so I actually, where am I? 25 minutes in. I think I'm going to go into my first break right now. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go through some pleasant, nice things. And then I will go through some videos and I'll come back to this theme of money. I am worried about the financial system melting down. I don't want the financial system to melt down. We need to keep this sucker going for the sake and well-being of everyone. When the financial system crashes, people starve, people will not know where their next meal is coming from. That's one of my fears. People might not be able to heat their homes energy is an amazing component of all of this. So in order for this system to function, you have to have good, cheap energy. And when I say good, I'm hoping that eventually we should be able to transform into a society where energy is created inexpensively, maybe even for free. If you have free energy available to everyone, free meaning it's established with the cost up front, but then it doesn't necessarily have to be maintained because of the way it's produced. You can build it and grow it, and it also has that environmental component where you don't want to pollute the world. I'm not necessarily a believer that climate change is as existential as we have been led to believe. I believe it is actually a convenient excuse for people obsessed with dominating the human race and dominating and possessing everything there is to possess in the world. It's a convenient excuse, climate exchange is, for them to seize control and power over the world, and it's just too convenient. At some point, it's even beyond oligarchical. It's just some kind of sadist. It's a beast system. It's like the beast system I read about in the Bible in Revelations. I've studied that chapter comprehensively, and the parallels when you dig into the interpretations of that chapter of the Bible, it's like amazing. It's blown my mind, and there's so much in it. And I recommend, if you are into the Bible, get into the Revelations chapter with John the Revelator and dig into it and see and draw the parallels between our lives and the way society, the trajectory is going, and what was written out 2,000 or so years ago in this book. That's fascinating. And so you can be like, well, I don't know if I trust this book. It was written by men, whatever. Whether you believe it or not, you read it and you go, oh my gosh, some of these things have come into being, and what was described in here, how could someone have been thinking or saying something like that 2,000 years ago? These are philosophical questions that are worth answering. So I'm going to take you into my first break right now, and then we're going to come back and talk about more stuff. Coming up, I am going to talk about some women on TV shows that I love, old classic women who are very old ladies now, and some younger ones who are kind of like middle-aged ladies. And what I think of them, the classic ladies versus the contemporary ladies. I have a brief clip on OnlyFans, about OnlyFans by a couple young, hot OnlyFans girls, which is disturbing. Elon making a statement which is sincere. Snoop Dogg performing at Trump's inauguration. That's an interesting topic. And because he used to diss Trump hard. A clip of Joe Rogan talking about the head of police being a ding-dong in Los Angeles. That's interesting. Biden and climate lies. More Biden. Bill Burr's cold take on Jimmy Kimmel. I have a lot to say about that. Hopefully I'll be able to get to all these things. That's why I'm going to go into my break now, and I will be right back in just a few minutes because I love you. Because I like you. And we're all very special people, and I'm not going to be so silly right now. But whatever. I'm going to be back. Let me turn this light on. And let me come out to there. Hello there, beautiful. And we're going to talk more about the money. Of course, the money's going to come up in the subject matter. That's the topic of today's show is money burn, baby. All right, I will be right back. I have too much fun doing this. If I didn't enjoy this, honestly, I don't know how I could get up the motivation to do all this work. I spent hours preparing this look last night. It was a little bit of a remix because this video was what was on the main screen last week, and the fire's the common theme. The money burn! This is about money burn! Money burn, baby, money burn. That's the theme for today. What am I supposed to do? Well, first thing is turn that off. Yeah, it's a topic that fascinates the heck out of me, to be honest with you. All right, everyone, I'm back. Crap, I had another Mike David thought when I was pissing. That's where I'm thinking. I'm like, I remember nearly 20 years ago, my then wife would be like, you're obsessed with Mike David. I think Mike has this way of making you obsessed with him. I mean, so at this stage in my life, I'm not obsessed with him at all. But there was a period there when he was coming after me when I was younger, and he and his minions, Mike and his minions, were coming at me, and some people from Nobody Likes Onions with Patrick Melton. I recall that quite vividly. I think one of Patrick's minions sent me like 1,000 emails one day, all at once, just like boom. Just they dumped all on top of my inbox, and I was like, oh wow, holy crap. I was so mad at Mike once. There was a podcast, what do you call it? The podcast summit or whatever in California. I went one year, I had a blast. And then the following year, Mike was there. And I didn't go because I thought I was going to beat him up. That's true. And I'm not going to get into all of why, but he can put a lot of pressure on people. I've seen him be pretty darn cruel, and I think he's grown up a lot. I think maybe Jules has been a good influence on him. What was I thinking about Mike? Oh, you know what I was thinking? Well, I'll just show you. Right now, I was thinking about, it's true that Mike has some... He has, wait, what the heck? He has what I call in his show basically classic Tonight Show vibes. And so he's often like putting on these jazz tracks, and I was like, and you know, the Tonight Show used to have very much a big band, old jazz style feel to it. And so I was like, you know what, this next time I get my drink, I want to play some jazz. So I copied you again. This is what I'm going to have today. Do you see this? This is more of the kombucha. And the other day when I gave Peter this flavor in here, Pink Lady Apple, I was like, I want to try Pink Lady Apple. So I got myself a Pink Lady Apple. And I'm going to try it out right now. And so I have a whole idea where I'm going to make myself eventually a Shirley Temple on here, and I'm going to have all the ingredients, including ice. No, not ice. Not the organization that kicks people out of the country, although they serve a purpose, I suppose. Hopefully they can, do their purpose humanely. Put this over here for right now. Now, I'm going to do the taste test for Pink Lady Apple. Is it any good? I certainly hope so. Once again, it has that... Oh, it's okay. I'll enjoy it. But it's got that fermentation that reminds me a wee bit of alcohol. But I like it. It's stimulating a little bit. I would not recommend this to an alcoholic because I think that's just enough of whatever that is to throw their mind into a triggered hissy fit. And I happen to know that the carbonation is good to keep your throat free of phlegm when you're speaking or you're singing. I like that aspect to it as well. But it's just more stimulating than... I was putting turmeric in my drink occasionally, and it tastes like crap. So I like to eat raw, real turmeric. I don't. And then I was putting CBD, and that tasted like crap. So I might as well try to have something good. I guess this has probiotics in it. Bubbly probiotic tea for a happy gut. Health Aid Kombucha. This is not a sponsorship. On the contrary, it's just me buying something other than water. And I have water over here because I figured I might drink through this during this long period. Oh, yeah. We're going to have a lot of those. Now, I don't think that's sin, burping like that. It may be crude. It may be uncouth. But it is not sin, per se. And I bring this up all the time. I learned from that wonderful man named Dennis Prager. In his book, he did say, the Jewish people have this saying where they say, bless the orifices. The orifices. I guess I slurred like from the alcohol in the kombucha just now. Bless the orifices. Because if they're working correctly, it is a metric to see if your body is biologically functioning like it should be. I do, in fact, like to over-articulate on here. I like to maximize every bit of articulation. I like to be articulate. And some things are funny. Some things I endeavor to be funny, and they fall flat, probably, with a great many people. They're like, nah, dude, that doesn't work. But whatever. I am doing this in my way, I guess. But that brings us to another part of this show, where right now I want to go to this other aspect and just change this little light here. Where do we go? I'm going to just put it on that one today. I'm not going to do the little flashy one because I think shit gets overexposed when I do that. And I'm going to go like so. Money burn. Inflation, my darling. Inflation, my darling. I say to you now, my TV, your daily name, as I constantly change it to suit my purpose, the one I am guided to. I say to you, inflation, inevitably, rise. You know what, Justine Bateman, do you know how hard I had to work to use AI to create this cool little backtrack for my rise routine here? I didn't go, hey, make me a cool rise track. I had to go through several incarnations and be like, try again, spit something out, because it has this rising aspect to the melody. And it was really hard to get it to kick this out. So is this a copy of something? I know, because she's out there making a big deal out of how she thinks generative AI is theft. And I don't know. I just don't know if it is, because if you can say AI is theft when it's taking influences from places, then you can say like what people are doing is theft. When and how does something become truly original or distinguished? And so that's the problem right there, is that a lot of what different people are generating with AI, it has a sameness to the sound quality. But when a real person, when a real artist or a musician creates something, it can be really distinguished and special. I don't know what you think of that, but I really like Justine Bateman. I've transcended from having just a schoolboy crush when I was a young child into really appreciating that woman for the way she speaks her mind, most definitely. And I'm not knocking her. I'm not mocking her or ridiculing her. I just think that AI can have a purpose. For me, I love filling up the empty spots with quality music in here. Like if artists want to give me free reign to play their songs on here, I'm happy to do that. But I'm tired of. I haven't gotten any copyright strikes since doing this. When I create my own originals, I don't upload them to any database or anything. So I haven't gotten any copyright strikes or anything, and that's refreshing because some of these songs have a good emotional quality to them. But it's always in the back of my mind, like that's AI and that's not a person that did that. But just like the jazz drinks, I didn't know where. That's what I called it. That's what I named it when I created it. I called it jazz drinks. Let's hear that again. So like where would I go to get a jazz song? Practically just, this is like what I had in mind, and I had to create, I think it was like 6 songs I created last night, and all the others I was like, no. And I'm like, no, that one's it. This one sounds very Tonight Show. And that was like the prompt. I think I put something like late night jazz, late night upbeat jazz, and then the title was Jazz Drinks. And this is what it generated, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to like pour my drinks to. That right there. That's very cool. I like it very much. So welcome everyone. I'm going to cut out of this video right here and we're going to talk. Oh, I should have had Justine Bateman. Speaking of the women I've had crushes on over the years, I should have had Justine Bateman as one of the women in this next sort of bit. Oh, please open up properly for me right now. Oh yes, it did. Good. So I'm going to take you to this right now. We go, harp, el gato due, el gato due. Okay, so what we have here is Suzanne Plachette from the, I was going to say Bill Maher, but it's not Bill Maher. It's Bob Newhart show from the 70s. I've been watching this show that aired in the early 70s when I was just, before I was born, this show started airing. So this woman has since passed away, but she's such a likable beauty in it. And I have this affection for the classic women going way back in time on these programs because they're not as annoying as contemporary women. I'm sorry. You can frame that as misogynism or misogyny. Actually, it's not misogynism. It's misogyny. And it's not actually woman hate. I just think that everybody's progressing down a rabbit hole in society where we're not quite as good as we used to be. And so Suzanne Plachette, very beautiful, witty, likable in her character, very nice. And she's not the only one in that show that I like. Another one here, let me go to the next one, is, what is her name? So I have a crush on this lady, okay? So her name in real life is, on the show, her character's name is Carol Kester. In real life, the actress's name is Marcia Wallace, but I call her Nicole from the Kava Bar with bad hair. I didn't plan on saying that. And I actually, can you imagine, I texted a picture of this woman to Nicole and I go, this woman reminds me of you. Her voice reminds me of her. Something about her face reminds me of her. And I said, this woman, she is actually really lovable in this character, in this role. And I swear, I feel like if I could go back in time and if I were living in this universe, in the Bob Newhart universe, where he's like what do you call him? A psychologist. I feel like I could walk into this lobby and charm the pants off of this lady, literally and figuratively. I think we'd get on great. I would love to like date this woman. And so, except her hair could have always been better. I've just been very unimpressed by her hair, but she has a unique, lovable, classic quality about her. Now, who's next on my list? Okay, let's come over here and see. Oh, it's Fallon Carrington. Oh my goodness. So this is the trash of the 80s. Not this woman, Fallon, and not the actress and not the character. That's not what I was referring to. Dynasty is the trash of the 80s. Because if you watch this show, you discover it is so morally reprehensible. The characters on it, most of them are horrible. Like the lady played by Joan Collins, I showed her fighting one of the characters on there. Crystal and Alexis got down and dirty and had a major cat fight and thrashed the living shit out of this greenhouse where Alexis was living. Disgrace. But like, so I'm, again, classic beauty right here in this woman. The interesting thing is this character started out on this TV show to be very promiscuous and devious, and then now they're writing her as if she's growing into becoming more mature and upstanding, and I really like that about her. But like, the physical beauty is exceptional. Yes, it's the drink. It's the carbonated kombucha contributing to my belching prowess right now. Live with it, and I appreciate you not tuning out because of it. But like, so this other character, Jeff here, is her first husband. They had a child together on the program, and he's a very nice man. I'm not talking about him. This is about the women, the classic women in the past. This woman, I looked her up. She's like 80 years old now. I'm not quite doing it then and now, where I'm going to show you the old versions of these ladies. Of course, they all aged, and as we all age, we change dramatically, and we're not the same. But like, I am so endeared to this woman's looks. She has the kind of beautiful looks that could really make me compromise my values. Here's another shot of her. It looks like an acting headshot. I don't think this is from the show, but a little too much lipstick on her lips. But what a beauty. The eyes and the hairs styles back then. The hairs. Each and every single one of them. The hairstyles were actually quite nice and enjoyable way back when. Let's go to the next one. We're going to move into more contemporary times, and I'm hopefully going to have some things to say with a little bit more depth to give you, to say to you about like the contrast between women then and now. Oh, yes. In the 80s, Diane Chambers from played by Shelley Long, actress Shelley Long. So, oh gosh, I just think this character was amazing. I was attracted to her from a very young age, and as I've grown up, and I've developed my own intellect, and I feel like I could be a contender. If I were in the world of Cheers, I feel like I could be a contender to date this gorgeous woman. The actress Shelley Long played this character in such a wonderful and endearing way. And she was so intelligent and sometimes kind of snobby. I would have humbled that in her a little bit. But I could have been Alpha A to Sam Malone being Alpha B. I think she would have wanted to be with me because I look pretty good and I'm intellectual and I'm kind of alpha, not in a brain dead way, but in an appealing way. This woman and I, that character, Shelley Long, no, not Shelley Long, but Diane Chambers. I want to be clear, Diane Chambers. I don't know about Shelley Long in real life because after all, these are actresses in real life. They could be totally freaky. They could be. But so moving on to the next one. Love this woman. I have like fantasized being her boyfriend like a million times. When her character left the TV show Cheers, it's like the heart and soul went out of it. It was no fun anymore. In the same way, it was all like slapsticky instead of having like emotional depth where the characters really cared about one another. They became less personally appealing because it just seemed more slapsticky it didn't maintain the heart and soul after she left. And honestly, the episode where she leaves still to this day brings like tremendous sadness to me when she's walking up the stairs and saying goodbye and Sam's like, have a good life. I'm like, that really impacts me emotionally because I become foolishly, stupidly, emotionally attached to these characters. So when these shows are over, I'm always extremely sad about it being over. I miss them. I just watched the end of, I'll tell you momentarily. Okay, so next. Oh, yes. Kaylee Cuoco, I believe is her name, right? Not Kelly, it's Kaylee Cuoco. She played Penny. I don't know her original name on Big Bang Theory, but she married Leonard Hofstadter, and became Penny Hofstadter on the show. And she had a lot of very loving, endearing qualities. But there's a big difference between these two contemporary actresses and these more contemporary recent shows There's a big difference between these newer shows compared to the older shows, like I was talking about. And it's very commonplace. Like in The Big Bang Theory, this character is constantly emasculating the living shit out of her husband and boyfriend, Leonard, and making him feel like an asshole. And as far as I can tell, every single argument they ever had, even when she was wrong, even when she was like bitchy and not cool, he wound up having to be like, sorry. And so this is like much more the case in contemporary TV shows. The reason I love these contemporary characters less, even though I love this character, they're very mean to their spouses. And so another character on this show, Howard Wolowitz, marries this chick named Bernadette. And Bernadette is super mean and condescending and mean and emasculating to him all the time. And it's like, I didn't like how they wrote her that way. But it's consistent with man dumb, man stupid, women better, man dumb, man stupid. And I don't like that about contemporary TV shows. It's off-putting to me. And so consequently, that's why I go back in time. You see, and I go back in time to women like these where they have just a more loving quality. This woman, she and her husband get into arguments on that TV program, but she never like treats him like a complete asshole shit. In fact, I even agreed with her with some of the arguments they were having. But on these newer shows, I'm kind of unimpressed by the way these women behave. So, okay, I kind of went out of chronological order here, but this next one here is Courtney Cox. I've had a crush on her going all the way back to Family Ties. I've thought, and her beauty endured for so long, she still looks quite good. She's been a good steward of her own looks. If I am daring to speak to her physical prowess now, she still looks quite good, and she hasn't totally mangled her looks with plastic, which I like. But same kind of story on Friends, about how these women on Friends, and I didn't want to put Jennifer Aniston up here because I feel like Jennifer Aniston's character, Rachel Geller. Rachel Geller? Is that right? No, this is Monica Geller. She's Rachel something. What the hell is Rachel's last name? I don't remember, by golly. Let me actually, I'm going to say Jennifer Aniston's character. I want to just Jennifer Aniston Friends character. Rachel Green. How could I forget that? Anyhow, we come back now and we go back to these ladies. Same story in Friends. And I'm going to wrap this up very quickly. Same story in Friends, that the way these women treat their men, especially Rachel Green, is very unmasked. We were on a break. And the way Ross's ex-wife, who's a lesbian, and her lesbian partner treat Ross, it's very demeaning and unkind and emasculating, and I can't stand that about it. These characters, the way they treat the men on the more contemporary shows, I just don't appreciate it. And so consequently, even though, like, this is the character I like on Friends, as far as the three women, you're like, who could you imagine yourself with? You're imagining being with one of these women, like, assuming, so like anyone who says that they're out of my league, forget you. I like to think that I could connect with anybody decent. If they like me and I like them, I like to think that I'm worthy. And so I'm not sorry for that. And you can go ahead and think otherwise, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to agree with that. I feel like I'm expressing insecurities here, but I don't like when people are, I used to have jackasses I know when I was younger in school, and they would say, she's out of your league. She's too good for you. And I'm like, F you, man. Forget it. It's not up to you to decide that. And I've gone on to have amazing girlfriends, and it's like people that these particular individuals who like to hold you down and make you think that you're less, I've proven to myself that I can have a glorious, wonderful, gorgeous woman. And I still have that attitude. It's just that I have different standards now. I've like passed women up the last 10 years like crazy, because it's like A, B, C, and D, all these details beyond that even have to fit for me to think we have a viable relationship, because they're like foundational. And faith is one of those, by the way. And yeah, Because it's a pain in the ass. Because relationships are a pain in the ass, it's necessary that they at least have to start out being easy on the eyes. But easy on the eyes is not it, because I really have to fall in love and be crazy about the person. All right, I'm going to move on. And we're going to get really dirty now. So all these videos, some of these are short, so they won't take up too much time. And let me pull this up here and see if this comes up properly. So this is Disgraceful. It's a 1-minute conversation between two OnlyFans chicks. I believe, based on what they're saying, it's just, let me let it speak for itself here. All right. Now, gorgeous, like a biological work of art, except I can't say much about the character though. So like, I could never date one of these chicks, even if they were into me. Like a hot OnlyFans chick, that's your job. Like, I would never date you. Sorry. Like, look how her mouth is wide open. That's apropos. Look at that wide open mouth. What goes in there? Being rude, but it's like, just listen to what they say.
I just don't understand why a hot girl would ever go to college and get a real job.
No, I actually have never understood that, because regardless, when you go to college, like, you party. Like, the girls that I know that are in college literally are, I guess, like, themselves out, IRL.
Whore themselves
but not getting
out.
paid for it.
Exactly. Like, if you're a hot...
So you're criticizing girls for being promiscuous. This is the gist of what she just said is, girls go to college and whore themselves out and they don't get anything for it. So that's an endorsement of prostitution. Is it not? Someone correct me if I am mistaken.
You can easily just make so much money off of social media, OnlyFans. Like, literally, you just have to be good looking.
Mm-hmm. Like, did you ever go to college?
I did for a little bit, but I never planned on finishing, because I was just like, I know that, like, I can make so much more money doing something else. Mm-hmm. I just did at the time because my parents wanted me to.
Yeah.
But once I was able to...
I feel sad hearing everything they're saying right now. Like, forsaking the development of your mind to make money based solely upon your looks. So now, I was bragging like with vanity earlier, but this could not make me money because there's not the sexual element to it. I think it's kind of like a compelling production, but it's not a sexual element. So whoring yourself out is not a noble thing to do just based on your looks. It's only temporary. So if that's what you invest in, then later on in life, you are going to be sore and missing something of greater depth spiritually and personally and otherwise. I think there's no doubt about what I'm saying right now.
Enough money, I realized I don't need to go to college. And
I knew I was way too good for college.
yeah, no, why would you rather be studying?
Well, that is like the inversion of reality right there. I was way too good for college. You're way too... no, really what you're saying is, I'm lazy and I'm way too hot. I don't want to work on myself. I just want to have fun. I want to make a ton of money being a hedonist, and I want to get paid for my hot social sexual market value. That's what I hear from you.
Day wasting money on going to school when...
Just to be like a cute doctor? No.
Yeah, like, we can be a doctor with what we do. We can be a nurse. We can be literally every single...
Yeah, basically every occupation every day.
We just do it all.
You want a doctor today? You want a police officer tomorrow? I'll arrest you.
Yeah, handcuffs and all.
Whatever.
Just don't...
Talk about being in denial. So you can do anything without college? Somehow you think you can do a lot of these things without going to college? And I'm not heralding the curriculum in college these days. A lot of them suck ass. The values they're teaching, the ideology they're embedding in kids instead of teaching kids good skills for life, skills to earn a good, honest living and enjoy yourself. I think in many ways colleges can be improved in that way. But I'm hearing women talk about how, what I hear here is the message that use your sexual prowess to get ahead in life. And I think that's tragic, and I think it's sad, and I don't like it. But now I've said that, oh boy, the burping is real from this. So it's heavy today. The belching is going to be heavy because this is, I don't think it was bad the other day when I drank one of these on here. Where are we? I have Elon seems sincere is the title to this video, and I remembered something about it I thought was compelling, and I want to open this up for you. It's a very brief clip. It's a minute 20 seconds. So my point on here is that he seems sincere when he says this, and I'm like, my antennas are going up to see if he's sincere. And he reposted this himself. When was this? I'm not seeing. January 15th, he posted this clip of himself, and it's had 22.5 million views. Let's just take a look at it right now. And here we go. All the way open like that. Let's just hear what this extremely interesting man has to say.
Yeah, so as Jonah was alluding to, there are a lot of negative things in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening all over the world.
Money
All
burn.
the time. There are lots of problems that need to get solved. There's lots of things that are miserable and kind of get you down. But life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. That's why we did this. This guy called Tsiolkovsky, one of the early Russian rocket scientists, the great saying, "Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever." It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel the same way.
I do. Okay, so very brief statement by him, and I think that's brilliant and apropos. It's apropos for the subject matter of my show here today, because, again, when you're talking about the aspiration of going to Mars, you have to have a sound financial system. So it's interesting, the beginning part, he talks about not just life being about solving problems, but he has to be essential in solving the problem of money and fiscal irresponsibility on the level of government in order to achieve that amazing goal. Because not only will it thwart his ability to to help make humanity multiplanetary, if you don't have your financial house in order, I don't see how people can survive. I don't see how energy can endure. I don't see how. It's just the thing that an economic interest is, a financial system, the enabling thing that it is for human productivity. You can't get to Mars without it functioning correctly. And it also enables people who are really go-getters in a system that is free, where you can see a byproduct from your productivity. You can go out there and do something and earn something and have fun doing something fun. I'm inspired by characters who try to do amazing, neat, new, novel, exciting things. And so Elon, to me, he seems sincere to me. He's not a depopulationist. Now, like if we're talking about Bill Gates, in contrast, I don't hear him inspiring me. Like, you hear something from Bill Gates in contrast, like about how he wants to make the world a healthy place, but there's this frightening contradiction in what he's doing when it comes to, like, you can't be a depopulationist and also, like, truly out there trying to save lives. I don't think how you... So it's scary, the things he does to try and save lives, how I kind of think it's this this trick. What is something of hand? I'm forgetting the expression. It's a sleight of hand where he's deceiving us doing what he's doing. But could that be Elon too? Because there are things about Tesla cars that make me nervous. I think they're dangerous when the batteries burn. I think the autonomous driving is an amazing tech. When I was younger, I used to fantasize about being in a car that could be like autonomously driving me home drunk so I don't get in trouble, because I was very foolish when I was younger. And other things like So Starlink is amazing when you think about how it can get everyone in the world on the internet, but is the EMF that we have to be hit with, is that healthy for us? That's kind of something that worries me. Neuralink, that could have positive technological ramifications, like helping people walk who are paraplegics or something. Good. But like mind control worries me. Being able to dial these systems into the mind to control people in some kind of hive mind or networked mind, these things freak me out. And I'm just being honest. So Elon has the Boring Company, which is boring like boring a hole in the ground. And so that technology, building tunnels, is amazing and can be very useful. But Elon, in contrast to Bill Gates, talks at great length about there needing to be more people in the world. And so when he says that, if he's sincere, that's a good thing. Because more people, more productivity. More people, more imagining power. Regardless of what you think you can do with AI to manage the world and make our lives easier, it's still not going to be the same kind of ingenuity and problem solving that a human being has, nor is the AI that we create going to have the same spiritual connection to the maker that human beings have. So AI can be used as a great tool or a weapon. So easy for these people to use all these tools like the financial world to create. But are we creating something that is meant to destroy things, or are we creating something to really enrich humanity and bring us to another level of existence, like becoming a multiplanetary species? It's an interesting topic and it fascinates me, and so I'm constantly wanting to follow Elon's progress. I think he's sincere, and when he wants to come in and cut expenses in the government, hell yeah, cut those expenses, because right now it's a gigantic money burn, and we are in peril because of the irresponsibility of the government. And somehow it's not criminal, and somehow people get away with it. The most dastardly, treacherous thing is to be in charge of the financial system. And that, in the hierarchy of powers of the world, it's above nation states. They have the power to create and destroy nation states with monetary policy, and that's very frightening. So I'm hoping this week, I mean, how do you fight that if you're the president and the Federal Reserve comes in and says, okay, no more spending, the spending limit isn't going up anymore? That's going to have some kind of growth impact. It's all been overdone. And I mean, these early founders, I think, I can't remember who said that, like, it's the government that should have control of making money, that it's a central banker makes every nation state power in the world beholden to them, and that's scary. Excuse me. All right, moving on. This is kind of funny. All right, so let's do a little then and now of sorts. I will open this up, and we will hear some really harsh criticisms coming from Calvin, I believe his name is. Do you know Calvin, you guys? You know who I'm talking about when I say Calvin? Oh, you will by his stage name, Snoop Dogg. All right, Calvin, let's see what you had to say about Donald Trump some years ago. And yeah, there's more to this. Just one moment.
Ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck out one of you Uncle Tom ass niggas for doing it. Which one of you niggas gonna do it first? Osby's the one that performs for himself.
All right. Obviously very critical of Donald Trump, and that's what makes this next video relevant right now. Come over here and say, let me go like this. Come over here. Oh yeah, this is troubling. So this is actually, what I was going to say is, here's another very negative. So Snoop made this video where he created this phony scene of him shooting Donald Trump. And all right, that's enough of that. That's disturbing. So right. So now what's the big hubbub? Why am I playing this? Because now, and I'm surprised I didn't put a clip of this, but Snoop Dogg is performing at Trump's inaugural ball. And so, okay, maybe people are allowed to change. People are allowed to have a perspective change. But really, it begs the question from me. I want to know, Calvin, what changed your mind? Like, explain it to me, because I think it's worth explaining that. I think I know, for example, why Mark Zuckerberg changed his perspective. He's like, this is the strongest wind. I got to go with that. Is this an opportunity to make a buck? Because you're like, okay, I'm just going with the trend of society. Were you going along with leftism before that hated Donald Trump, like Trump derangement syndrome, because it was popular in those circles where you roll in? Was it a monetary decision because you're afraid if you go against the grain of those circles you're in, your money gets burned? Money burned, baby! You understand the points I'm making right now? I understand my own points. Where do we want to go here? Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to take you into a break right now. It's going to be my second and final break of the day. I'm at 1 minute, 15 seconds. This is going to be about... It's going to be about 3.5 minutes long, so stick around for just a few minutes, and I will be right back. I promise you, I'll be right back. What? What's going on here, yo? What's? I'm just trying to get my lights straight. What happened here? Default group. What happened? Okay, here we go. That's what I want. That's how I like to go out to break, and I will be right back in just a moment. My good friends, lovey-doveys, brothers and sisters in Christ, all of the above, be back. Money burn! Money burn, baby. Money burn. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say money burn? We're on a calamitous decline as a country, and if shit doesn't get fixed really quick, I'm concerned about the trajectory of all of Western society, which is being put down this trajectory. You better hope, everybody, that it gets sorted right. But I'm not down for the digital IDs. I'm not down for CBDC. I'm not down for continued borderless countries. That was the plan to conquer. That's more money burn right there. Everything that has to be paid to support these people coming. And by the way, I'm biased because I'm much more accepting of wanting to let good people who are Christians in the country. That's my bias. I want Christians coming to the United States. If we're going to make this country better, make it more Christian. Make it properly Christian again. And it's not Christian nationalism, it's just Christianity. It's a good thing. Unless you take pride in sin, then like you're going to have gripes with Christ. All right, everyone. All right. What's up? Let's get this party going. No. Crap, I screwed that up. What's next? What have I next on this list? All right, so I have alluded to that. I think the climate issue, I mean, like, the reason I hate saying it is because a lot of people who are brainwashed into believing something, truly brainwashed and convinced that something's valid when it's not, they take the approach of attacking you instead of, well, let me hear your idea. Let me hear how you substantiate it's not a real thing. Like, I think climate change is a hoax. And I'm not saying that the climate doesn't change, and I'm not saying that people and humanity shouldn't be careful about the things they do, because human beings operate on such a scale that they could literally cause serious problems. And so this is painted as an existential risk, an existential problem, but everything in the way of scientific study is bought and sold. Like, it serves a purpose for profitability. And now I think that everyone's truly enriched in the world. The profitability they're trying to pursue is like depopulation so that they can seize all the world. You have a lot of competition in humanity existing, like large populations of people. Inevitably, you have people in systems where the opportunity exists and they rise up to compete with the oligarchs. They disrupt. Inevitably, you will have people disrupting the world if you let so many go on. It's just inevitable. Like, people win the lotto, there are going to be special people who undertake special goals, and they threaten your way of life, your status quo business modus operandi that's been going on for time immemorial, probably hundreds of years if you're talking about some things like central banks and people being in charge of the financial equation of all of this. So it's like every single aspect of society becomes oligarchical and monopolized by these controlling interests. And it's frightening. It's truly frightening. So what is climate change? It's an opportunity for absolute control to be asserted over people. Technologically, that's the opportunity that the digital realm presents, especially with everyone tethered to a phone. How quick would all this stuff crumble if we just got rid of these phones? Sometimes I yearn for the days of when we didn't have these phones constantly attached to us. Sometimes I think about what my life would be like and what my my own productivity, how it would change if we didn't have all this full access to the internet and broadband and phones. What would I be doing? Would I be more creatively engaged? How has it fried out my dopamine receptors constantly being on my phone all the time, wanting to see notifications on my phone and see messages coming in from people and likes on posts, whatever, all of that, etc. And so it's interesting. I used to have a different kind of fire when I was younger. Fire, no pun intended. Like to create. And it's like but maybe that's part of getting older, so I can't necessarily discern, is it the phone that has fried out my motivation sometimes, or is it just that I'm getting older? Because I think I've heard this sentiment that from people who are much older than I am, say you just reach a point where you don't have the same kind of drive anymore. And I want the drive. When I hear Rollo Tomasi talking about taking testosterone and other guys, the byproduct of what they explain they're feeling when they're taking testosterone, it's like what I want. To be able to like screw 20 times again in a day. But I don't necessarily want that drive because I don't necessarily want to amplify the lust that I have. Other things, having energy, sleeping better from testosterone replacement therapy. But I want to... So if there was some kind of guarantee, which there is not, that I would not have a heart attack or a stroke or an aneurysm from taking that shit, I would love to take it for 30, 40 years if it just kept me going. And because Big Pharma is what it is, I don't know that they're not tainting that to make me unhealthy. Because every time these oligarchical interests create a problem, then you have a monetary incentive to solve a problem. You create a problem, you solve a problem. And when you create the problem, you're creating the potential for profit in virtue of trying to solve a problem. It's like they try to keep the two together, so they cover up symptoms with Big Pharma. They don't necessarily provide cures because they got to keep the sickness going to keep the repeat business going. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very frustrating. Can't stand that. So money burn on everything. Like irresponsible oligarchical systems waste so much in the way of resources that could be. And so like when you build a nuclear bomb, the only thing it can do is destroy. It's not going to, it might like open up a whole new area. After you burn it out and destroy it, you can go in and, oh, hey, we have a Marshall Plan now. Now we pour more money into that. So you destroy in order to make profit. There's the profit incentive from a nuclear bomb. It doesn't just sit there. It destroys a bunch of value in order to insert a whole bunch of new what is like a cycle of value, if that makes sense to you. Where are we going? Biden, so this is his goodbye address, a clip from his goodbye address, where I think he's making it's a minute-long clip, and it's probably going to disgust me because I'm not a fan of the man. I have love and pity for them both, but I'm not in the Biden camp. I never have been, that's for sure. I never wanted him to be a president. It's been a horrible last 4 years as far as the direction the country is going. So let's play this.
Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across the country.
It's actually a pet peeve for me that, I mean, I realize his age, and I'm not knocking on his age, but he used to speak very concisely and very clearly, and now he mumbles a lot of his words. That's a bother. So he says the existential, he's like tripping over his tongue when he says that. If it's an existential threat, you should at least be able to articulate it clearly and project it. Existential threat of climate. Say it. Okay, keep going.
From California to North Carolina.
There we go. First bit of lies. He's talking about the hurricane, and he's talking about the fires in California. As I have said, money burn, money burn. California was deliberate, weaponized, bureaucratic administration. And this will sound very conspiracy theory to you, but I do believe they can create hurricanes and they can weaponize hurricanes. And it's a dual weapon because on the one hand, they're like, it's climate change. Everybody be afraid. This is the future. Everything's going to be destroyed because bad weather. And I know the difference between weather and climate, so don't come at me with that. But like, it's not a coincidence that immediately Blue California gets the offer, like, oh yeah, from Biden, we're going to support you. We're going to give you all the money you need to rebuild. And there's all this support. But then in North Carolina, I think, is it South Carolina? I can't remember. And Florida, when these things happen there's a lot less willingness from the federal government to come in and help when you have a leftist blue administration. You're not forthright with the help in the same way, but you're characterizing those events as we had it wasn't deliberate at all. It was just some climate change bad outcome because of energy and carbon. And there are so many lies to unpack in it, but it's so frustrating.
Signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world, and the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working, creating jobs and industries.
Stop it.
The future. Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy. We're doing both. The powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis, to serve their own interest for power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future of our children and our grandchildren. We must keep pushing forward and push faster. There's no time to waste. So much is...
So, the disturbing part of what I hear from a lot of people are like, words sound good. But do you mean what you're saying? Or are you inverting reality? I mean, coming from him, you know how I was talking earlier about, I thought Elon was being sincere when he said what he was saying about becoming a multiplanetary species and getting up in the morning and being excited about life. I'm not feeling it from Joe Biden because there's something very inconsistent with the arguably noble words he's uttering. When you compare that to the reality we're living in, the reality of your administration and the things you've done, I have a very hard time believing that. I think there's an ulterior motive. I think there are aspects to power with this particular president where it's undermined by some serious criminal activity and by power players of the world who've blackmailed powerful people, a great many of them who are working in government, at the very top there, starting with him and his son being an example of something that could and does profoundly compromise his integrity when he's talking. It's hard to take him seriously. Let me hear. I don't know what this second one, I can't remember what he said in this second clip here. It's also short, I think. It's also a minute long. Let's hear what this has. Buried under an avalanche. Oh, yeah. Might as well talk about this. Misinformation, blah. Okay.
You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex.
And I will say, when I hear Eisenhower's speech, I take that as serious, a serious warning that he didn't have to give, and he did. And right now, I kind of feel like you're riding on the coattails of a noble. You're expressing a noble lie. By mentioning it at all, because I think you're compromised. I can't help but feel like you're compromised leadership, criminal leadership on some level.
Understand about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well.
It already does. You're saying the right thing. There you go, saying the right thing.
Under an avalanche.
So, like, this is really ironic because you actually were forcing these technology companies to lie to us during the lockdown. And now you're bemoaning their power to spread misinformation. That's what this clip is about. You were forcing them to be dishonest. And that's really ironic.
Of misinformation and disinformation.
Which is what you were forcing them to do. Like, you're talking about the worry of their rise and what they're doing, but like that's what you were forcing them to do. Dictated by whom? Like, especially with regard to vaccines. Even silly shit like talking honestly about wearing masks, humiliation ritual, in some ways dehumanizing, a form of torture, psychological weapon.
Of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking.
Well, that's not true at all, dude. What are you even talking about? Just malarkey. Who wrote that for you? Did you write your own speech? I'd like to know that. I doubt it. Of course you didn't. Of course you didn't. That's what I like about the classic presidents, is I think they had a hand in the actual words they were speaking. It was their own thoughts and ideas, and so they were, by definition, real leaders, much more true by definition leaders.
Truth is smothered by lies told from
The irony is so fat ass here. I can't see around it because of the fat ass irony.
power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable.
Oh, that sounds like you're going after specifically Elon. That's a swipe at Elon, right?
Our children, our families, and our very democracy. You know, his farewell address.
All right. Stop lying to me. Shit. Oh dear, oh my. I have to remember to remind myself, reminder for next week. Don't forget to put the description of the show topics when I put out the stream, because that really brings a lot of people in. They are like curious and they check it out. But so, yeah, here we going. Here we go. I mean, whoops, timing of that was off. I screwed that up. This is disturbing. Bill Burr is disturbing here. I've really Bill Burr is a man who's made me laugh a lot over the years. Okay. I like his sort of hot take on a lot of things, but something is wrong here with him. And I'm disturbed during this conversation he has with Jimmy Kimmel right here. Let's watch.
It's very good to see you. I heard you had to evacuate your home.
Yes. Like most people, I had to. I got lucky, the winds moved, but, the fire was coming and all that stuff. So I feel lucky.
Are you guys back in?
And I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
Unlike the...
Who did a great job? Everybody. You said everybody. Am I to take that literally? Who did a great job? Specify that. Like when you're giving praise. Now, but let me see if people laugh when he says that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, everybody did a great job. California, $250 billion. Yeah, weaponized, fucking deliberate weaponized bureaucratic management. Great job. Yeah, that's worth applauding. Now, make your stupid comments so that I can say what I want to say about you.
Right.
I'm getting fatigued. I've been going for a good long while, and I need to wrap this up soon.
Oh my God, all of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean and then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds? You want to do that?
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what that ties into. I mean, like, you're blathering things you think are funny. They're not very funny. Something horrible happened, but in your world of unrepentant comedian, you're willing to say anything and to get a laugh, and I don't take you seriously, but keep going.
Do that at night, you lunatic?
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Yeah. Fuck. Excuse me. You're ripping on people for saying that. When there's proper fire mitigation, dude, you're really a numbskull here. I can't underscore how much you're really, truly like a numbskull here. Numbskull! When there's proper fire mitigation, something like that, which happened in California, just doesn't happen. When you have the water coming from fire hydrants like it should be to put fires out, when you cut away dry old brush that is dead, and if you enabled people to cut away dry old brush, you would have a lot less things burning that shouldn't be burning. You're just fundamentally making a joke out of something that's so serious. Like, people are like reeling from what happened. I'm sure they're still shocked today from the shock of losing their house. And then, like, it's not funny to me, even if it's a wealthy person who has a lot of other houses. That can be very shocking, having your home and your place burned down. And I'm grateful that people have the ability to reestablish. But what about people who don't? What about people who all they had was their house? So this is like horrible. You can imagine certain people on the right who are vilified by the left, who runs all of this crappy, shitty, disgusting media, like who the puppeteers of Jimmy Kimmel here, who is like a court jester, whose mandate is not to make me laugh as much as he is to use laughing as a means to indoctrinate me into a way of thinking. I'm glad I'm vigilant and that I think about this kind of thing, that I don't just accept what you say as face value, man. You're the fucking albatross that makes me not completely trust Adam Carolla. He like says a lot of the right things, but then he continues to defend you even though you're some kind of weird puppet. No wonder. Like, you hang out with Howard Stern and you guys are so like in a certain mindset, you can't even, it's just unbelievable. I can't even comprehend it on some level, how ridiculous it is. Keep going, actually, dude.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA, sitting there in his underwear.
Excuse me, jackass. I'm not happy calling you a jackass, but you are a jackass, dude. Like, because it's just like, make any stupid joke. Don't make a point. People are reeling. It's not the kind of humor. Now, life sucks. Life is a pain in the ass, and we should laugh at life as much as we can to alleviate our frustration. But like, you, dude, it's this leftist mentality. Like, are you an expert? Oh, excuse me, what is a woman? I do not know. I am not a biologist. I have to be a biologist to say I am a woman. So you're not an expert on the topic of being a woman. You don't have to be an expert to know some of the basic facts and understand them enough to have a valid definition you spew out about what a woman is. And it's like what I started out saying. Fire mitigation. Fire mitigation. Bill Burr is a real thing. And when it's handled responsibly, some of the most prolific tinderboxes of the world can somehow truly manage not to have a devastating fire like this one in Los Angeles, which is not a joke.
You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged.
See, that what you're saying doesn't even make sense. I don't even think anyone ever said that. The footage. Like, you mean an empty reservoir that should have been full during this prolific fire season? I lost a lot of respect for you here, dude, but I've always known you're a jackass. People said you used to be a better person, but was it you pretending to be better? Or I don't know, man. I don't know. It smacks of like, you wouldn't be able to be critical the way I am and sit on Jimmy Kimmel. You wouldn't even be invited there if you had the opinions that I have about this. And to me, it's just honest common sense. Like, you're ignoring the money burn of all of it and what it means for people to have their lives destroyed like that. Just in a day or two, they've lived there all their lives, and it's a joke to you. But everyone did a good job. Hey, everyone. Bill Burr says everyone did a good job, so believe Bill Burr. All right, what's this next one I have? Bill Burr's cold take. I want to play this other one. I have another clip of this dude here. Let's see. I think it's different. Wait, is it the same clip? I think I might have put the same clip aside.
Wait, you're home.
Yes, like most people I had to. I got lucky, you know.
Okay, no, it's the same clip. I said everything I want to say about this. I don't know why I put that same one there, but Cumia dunks on Jimmy Kimmel. Let me bring that one up because that is an interesting one. And like Cumia is spot on about this. One of the people who blows my mind with how he speaks his mind is Anthony Cumia. Because he says nightmarish words that I don't say just because I like to keep my tongue bridled. I don't like to say the worst of the worst offensive words. But he just blurts right out and says it. But he also expresses a lot of ideas that I think are accurate. And this is probably the clip I'm going to end with today. It's 10 minutes long, but I want to see especially the monologue of Jimmy Kimmel here.
One of the biggest beta guys
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Dude.
It's takes
funny,
a guy
though.
to get well into his 60s.
You don't have the most manly voice when you say that. You go, one of the biggest beta guys. But I still like where you're coming from on this, for sure.
Before he starts crying like this, before he starts fucking crying like a baby on national television.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny Carson, he teared up a little bit on his last episode of The Tonight Show. Thank you and good night. That was it. Captain Kirk. No more. This guy is just whining at every turn. Everything that
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah.
What a...
Jimmy has a tendency of crying over a whole lot of things. I've never cried on here. I'm not going to say I don't become emotional, but on here it's kind of like I'm in a different mental state. A couple weeks ago, I asked the pastor to pray for my dad because my dad's having a really hard time with some health issues. And the pastor did such a good job that it really impressed the heck out of me. I was really endeared to the prayer he told for my dad, and I felt like tearing up. But, you know, I'll just continue with this because I am wanting to wrap this up soon.
What a pissy-eyed faggot, Jimmy Kimmel. So here he is talking about the fires.
See, that's what I mean when he used, like, Anthony Cumia uses his fleshy words, and I do like that about him.
Through his tears.
I mean, I'm not going to use those words. That was just some mean shit I used to throw at people when I was younger. But it's like I've just grown out of that. I don't feel like using that word. Because it's just, in my view, it is... I mean, I just called, what's his name, a jackass. Is that worse? I just called Bill Burr a jackass. I do think he was being a jackass. But I don't know. You're assaulting his manhood here. If Jimmy is sincerely emotional about these things, I mean, like, I'm emotional about what happened in California. I love California. And the idea that it's burning down and that I feel like there was a lot of deliberate mismanagement there, and I'm not going to give up on that, Bill Burr. I love California. It is classic Americana, and it's being destroyed and it's being refashioned by some very crooked players, and I don't want to see it burn up, and I don't want to see all those lives displaced and traumatized.
Has to shit on Donald Trump.
Show me.
As you know, it has been a very scary, very stressful, very strange week here in L.A., where we work, where we live, where our kids go to
Where
school.
my children come to play with their toys.
We are back in our studio, which we had to evacuate on Wednesday.
And that's interesting to me because I saw Jimmy Kimmel live in 2019, and I had a blast seeing the production and all of it. And Seth Rogen was there, and other names I'm forgetting right now, but it was fun. And so, well, I was there. So when he says they had to evacuate, it makes me feel like, well, it's just a matter of life is in so many ways like timing. I don't want to be where a tidal wave rises up from the ocean. I'm always paranoid on the beach. I'm like, okay, if this is the time, I'm doomed. When I see that ocean retreat, I'm running away, baby.
That's our building right there, the El Capitan. That is how close this fire was to our theater here. Many of us had to leave our homes in
a
a hurry.
tragedy
Some of
that
our
would have been.
coworkers lost their homes.
Now, okay, so I could be critical of Jimmy Kimmel too, and I am, but I'm not going to celebrate like if his studio burns down or his house burns down. I'm not going to do that with anybody. No way, Jose. I'm not going to celebrate the few people who might deserve such. Does someone really deserve that? If it means that everybody else around them has to lose their houses too, even if we might think they deserve it because they have a wretched moral character, I would never wish that on Jimmy Kimmel, even though I'm very critical of the man.
Hollywood. It's been terrible. It's been a terrible.
Two bad
Everyone who
knees
lives in the city
and a dream
knows
to
someone.
become a
Most of
Major
us
League
multiple
Baseball player. I don't know.
What?
The dream came true.
people, families, friends, colleagues, neighbors whose houses burned down. And the truth is, we don't even know if it's over. We had 100-mile-per-hour winds fueling this nightmare. As of tonight, the winds.
So, I mean, like, the way Jimmy Kimmel is talking about it right now in a way that I don't object to. He's not undermining the severity of the situation, but he doesn't have to cry. But I mean, even after 9/11, Conan had a speech and David Letterman, and they didn't cry, but they were very solemn. So this to me is solemn. And I'm not going to pick on Jimmy for crying about it because it isn't an emotional thing. Like, I'm very upset about what happened to California last week.
I think I speak for all of us when I say it has been a sickening, shocking, awful experience, but has also been, in a lot of ways, a beautiful experience because once again, we see our fellow men and women coming together to support each other. People who lost their own homes were out volunteering in parking lots, helping others who lost theirs. And tonight, I don't want to.
So I don't really take issue with what Jimmy is saying. It's the appropriate thing to say in this situation. And he's not, so far from what I've heard, he has not politicized it in a petty way, except that if someone is truly responsible for it, like I think the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, hell yeah, in that sense that they are actually responsible for it, hold them accountable.
Get into all the vile and irresponsible and stupid things our alleged future president and his...
Okay, there you go. You just actually, you took the dump right there. Because I was like, if Donald Trump is holding those leaders accountable for what happened in California, then I'm all in favor of that. I cannot object to that. I can't say it enough. I'm all in favor of Donald Trump holding Gavin Newsom accountable and Karen Bass accountable and eviscerating the DEI policies that led to installing people in positions where competency was required, and instead you got a bunch of people who are celebrating gayness and stuff. That's not what it's about. And I said the same thing last week. If you are competent in what you're doing, I'm not going to care that you are gay and doing that job. I'm going to celebrate you if you're competent and getting the job done and saving lives. I am not going to say that it's okay to make gayness the centerpiece of someone's administration or blackness. Like, if you're competent and you do a good job, you will receive all the praise from me. I promise.
Scumbags chose to say during our...
Scumbags. Man, dude. Maybe you should give Snoop Dogg a call and see what Snoop Dogg changes his mind. At least Jimmy's consistent. Or is Jimmy compromised? I don't know. I'm so cynical about everything and everyone. When people are on the wrong side, I have to question every aspect. Is he compromised? Does he just have the wrong beliefs? Is he misinformed? Who does he hang around? Does his career Does his career prompt him to say things he wouldn't normally want to say on his own? How much of this speech right here is Jimmy Kimmel saying what he really wants to believe? Or how much is it like prompted by the networks that he's on, that the expectation is these left-leaning mainstream media networks are anti-Trump? I just don't know, but I'm cynical about it. I'm truly cynical. Somebody tell me the truth!
It's the most terrifying hour. The fact that they chose to attack our firefighters, who apparently aren't white enough to be out there risking their lives on our behalf, it's disgusting, but it's not.
Now, like I just said, the manner in which you're portraying it is dishonest, because if someone is hired specifically for their color before they are for their competence, then there's a problem there. I will never not give someone credit who is genuinely good at what they do.
Instead, I want to focus.
Regardless of their sexuality or their race, is what I want to say. Sexuality, specifically gay, straight. I'm not talking about any others in that rainbow-colored community that has been all stuffed together, by the way. I don't think they're all as unified as you think. I think the propaganda is the flag of unification. But you know, people are still individuals, unique individuals. I mean, like, I have things I want to say, but they're too crude.
I'm thanking.
And I'm bridling my tongue, and I'm trying to be respectful about it. I'm not just trying to be a sensational dipshit like Bill Burr. I've done enough of that in my past. I don't want to do it anymore.
Those men and women.
Like, I'm not bemoaning anybody who's good at their job and doing their job. I don't care about their race. If you're a heroic black gay fireman, kudos, wonderful, that's great. I'm just not a fan of the way Jimmy is politicizing this right here in this clip. And I don't agree with it. And I have reason to doubt your integrity. That's all. The one thing I have a problem with Adam Carolla is, like, I know he's your bro, and maybe it's good as far as his character that he stays polite and loyal to you, but like, you deserve some doubt and scrutiny, just like he applies to many things honestly. You Jimmy.
Ugh. Fag. What a fag. Oh, my God.
I do appreciate... Okay, so I don't necessarily agree with you saying that, but when you say that, I laugh out loud, and I think it makes me laugh, and I don't... I mean, if anyone's feelings are truly hurt by that, he's not saying, "Hey, Jimmy, you're gay." It's just it's a slang word that we grew up with, and people overreact to it and want, like, it's not cancel worthy. I don't think Anthony should be canceled. It's not the way I want to speak to people, but let me just go a little longer on Anthony.
It wasn't the point. It wasn't the miss the point guy. It's not that they're not white enough.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah. You're gonna, like, basically echo everything I just said. A lot of what I just said, except without the F word that you used. The F word to describe people in a disparaging way. I have to start wrapping this up, people, because I am exhausted. I've gone for 2 hours, and I cannot fathom how Mike from Red Bar will go so long on one episode. Like, my voice gets tired. My brain gets tired. If I wanted to go longer, I'd have to work in more breaks. But 2 hours on a given week like this is good on this kind of show where I'm sitting alone. I think 2 hours with a person is good too. I'm probably going to invite David to come in here and join me if he wants to. If he's not afraid of what people will think, then kudos to him. Like, come over here and put this up and play. All right. Where are we? This is CopyWho, everyone. I'm your host, Paul, the producer. Hang out for a while, will ya? If you like this and you want to be part of a community here, help me grow it. Share it if you like it. And I don't have any way that I'm monetizing it all right now. Eventually, maybe. The reason I don't pursue monetization right now is because I don't have any followers. Like I want to get a deal with like Spotify, like Joe, to have the kind of latitude to talk the way I want to talk without being canceled and get paid something. That would be my awesome dream. And I don't think they're going to pick this up if I don't build a following. So I have to get serious about finding a way to put it out there where it's going to grow. And I probably will have a website, and I'll probably be hosting a podcast feed where you can just listen to the audio of it. It'll lose something when you don't see it, but I still think it'll play out like something that can be listened to audio-wise. So yeah. I'm Paul the producer. The truth is my business. Let me go like this, and then let me go boom. I'm so grateful to people actually who say they like what I'm doing and they show enthusiasm for it. God bless the United States of America. I pray that the inauguration of Donald Trump tomorrow goes on without a hitch, without anything bad happening, and that he comes in and that he does good work. And I'm nervous about some of that. I'm not condoning all of it. I want it to be done well. God bless the United States of America. God bless all of you. I always mean it when I say peace be with you. And to you right now, genuinely, I say to you, peace be with you all.